Okay, before begin with the course contents today, let me introduce briefly about myself. My name is Lakshmi. I have been working in Oracle applications and Oracle Fusion applications for the past 13 years. And I have been into the Oracle Fusion application since 2015 and been working into all HCM modules and into the technical components as well in the Fusion applications. And today I'm going to take session about techno-functional concepts, what we're going to talk in our upcoming sessions. And if time allows, I'm going to start talking about the Fusion applications overview too, and then we go from there. So before I start talking about the sessions, I just want to quickly know about your expectations and if possible, your brief experience with ERP applications. If you don't have any experience with ERP applications, also good. If you just let me know about your background and what are expectations, I will take a note of it and I will plan my schedules accordingly. So if someone wants to start with, or
Hi, this is Omasan.
Hi, Omasan.
Yeah, how are you?
Good.
I'm an Oracle financial consultant. I've been doing it for over 15 years, but more of the P2P financial side of things. Occasionally, I've dabbled into HR, but not properly. I've always enjoyed it, but so I'm just coming with, I can say no experience in HR. So it's just to see if it's something I would like to take forward.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hi, this is Prashant.
Hey, Prashant.
Yeah, I am working as a project manager for Oracle application, a business suite release 12, with techno-functional background of finance, supply chain, and technical side.
Okay.
So just want to upgrade on HCM and that too in the cloud side.
Perfect. Thanks, Prashant.
Sorry, this is Kendall. How are you, Lakshmi?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. You remember me?
Absolutely. We had Taleo session, right? Yeah, absolutely. Great, you joined today.
That's good. Yeah, basically, I just want to, I'm joining at the moment just to have a look at what needs to be done. And from there, because I've done this training before and I'm working in the environment, but no knowledge is wasted. Yeah, I can still get something. So I just want to basically join to be able to get more info or more details, especially because I know Fusion is they're changing in the sense that I think they're now in 18C or 18D. So just want to make sure I get more insight based on new technology going on.
Perfect. Sure. Thanks, Tuna.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi, I'm Jay.
Hi, Jay.
Hi. Yeah. I'm an Oracle consultant, and I've been an Oracle consultant. I specialize in supply chain management and manufacturing. And I've done supply chain management fusion with Rainbow Technology in India.
Perfect.
I've also done HCM fusion and financial fusion. But I still want to, the opportunity to just go through some few stuffs in Oracle Women Capital Management.
Absolutely. Sure. Thank you, Jay.
Yeah. Hello. Hi, Lakshmi. This is Nazir.
Hi, Nazir.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm doing good, Nazir. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, I'm having 6+ years of experience into different domains. I'm from MBA, Finance and HR.
Okay.
Meanwhile, I worked in IT only for 1 year, and before that, I worked for Genpact GE for 4 years.
Okay.
I was into finance process, non-voice. So I have learned some business analyst and Salesforce courses as well. But now I want to move into this Oracle functional side because they Salesforce is almost all technical and development side. So
Right.
I'm not the background, so I want to go ahead with this.
Perfect. Sure. It do work
And
for
one
you.
more thing, Lakshmi, can you give me the permission for recording of this session?
Yeah. So we are already recording it.
Okay.
Once the session is completed, I think Ravi is going to share with you all.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay, fine. No problem.
Okay. Thank you, Najib.
Okay, thank you. Welcome.
Hi Lakshmi, this is Pradeep.
Hey, Pradeep.
Lakshmi, I'm having 4 years of experience in production support.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, I'm working as a Taleo consultant.
Okay. Great.
So,
Great.
Moving into the implementations.
Mm-hmm.
So, wanted to know more about these Fusion applications.
Absolutely, Pradeep. Thanks for joining.
Thanks.
Okay.
Hi, Lakshmi. This is Shoshankar.
Hey, Shivashankar.
Yeah, right now I am taking the training on finance management. Finance.
Okay.
So my basic background is the finance and supply chain management, everything.
Okay.
So I worked as an end user.
Okay.
I want to introduce myself in Fusion for upcoming new trends. So
Okay.
I want to know what is the HCM, so I can update it myself. Okay, thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Okay. So Yaman, I got your information that your expectation too. So yeah, I just noted it down. Thanks for the info. Okay. Okay, so does anyone else want to say anything? Okay. Let's start today's session then. Okay. So what I learned, most of us are new to the HCM applications. That's okay. So we can plan accordingly. One more. Hi, Shajad. Do you want to say something? Okay.
Hello. Hi, Lakshmi.
Hello.
Hello, this is Nazir Lakshmi once again.
Yes, Najee, tell me.
One question I want to ask you is that I'm from this functional background. I'm a non-technical.
Okay.
So is this Oracle fits for me actually? So because I have done 2 courses as well, but they are asking some technical side, coding side, programming side. So I don't want to go into that one. So I want to be into this functional. So one of my friend, he's working in Accenture for the past 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
So he told me he is a Oracle financial consultant.
Mm-hmm.
But for this, you can go for this Oracle Taleo Fusion. So just he advice, just he give me a suggestion and advice on this. So
Perfect.
just I want to ask you regarding this.
Sure. So yeah, over this course, I'm gonna teach you some tools basically. Some tools. I don't say they are full technical, but there are some tools which would help us to interact with the system. Example, how to load data into the system. That is a tool actually called HCM data loader. Or how to bring data out of the application using some reporting tools actually. So those are some reporting tools and inbound integration tools which I'm going to talk about, and you not necessarily need enough technical background to learn that. That is a one of the major technical concepts which we need to learn in this Fusion implementation. So I want to teach that from scratch. So as I said, you don't need to be a tech savvy in SQL, PL, SQL concepts, or you no need to be a good in Java like that. All you need to learn is to learn how this tool behaves and how to use this tool and how to implement these tools basically. So yes, as your friend advised, it's not necessary that you should know the technology beyond that, because Fusion simplified almost all the stuff basically. So they simplified the technology behind the scenes. So all you need to learn how it works, and that will help you to solve the problem. So my assumption is, yeah, you may not do all the technology behind that, but at least you can support and do the functional implementation if you go through this course. That's my advice. If you want more into the technology and how the technology do work, and you want to do more into the tech integrator or technology implementer in the Fusion applications, that is a different path entirely. But this course will help you to at least to support and start and do the implementations, basically functional implementations, I would say. So don't worry.
Hi, Lakshmi. This is Prashant. Lakshmi, this is Prashant.
Yes,
I just want to know that in this particular course, you'll be covering HCM plus Taleo all modules, right?
Yes. So this course is designed to cover core HR, the foundation of HR, basically, and technology components being involved in any HR module implementations. So when I say technology components behind the scenes, means if you implement any HR module, if you start implementing any HR module in the Fusion applications, or if you want to start any other module in the Fusion applications, what is the foundation is necessary for that? Along with that, if you want to implement core HR, any HR modules, what other things you have to take care? Along with that, once you start the implementation, if you want to interact with the Fusion application, when I say interaction, loading data into the cloud and pulling data out of the cloud. How many ways you can interact with the cloud application while doing the loading, and how many ways you can extract the data out of the Fusion applications. So these components will be covered as well into the in these classes too. And also we will be covering about what are the various customizations can be allowed on top of the Fusion applications. That customizations can be any module in the Fusion application, that can be HR, finance, or anything. Though we won't be going deeper and deeper, but we'll go ahead.
Yeah, but is this course is more towards a functional perspective or technical perspective, like core HR, SSHR, payroll, absence management, these modules configuration also will take care in this?
Yes, well, most of the configuration happens in HR module is through functional, basically. So all those configurations will be covered in these classes, along with the functional processes, right? Any module has its own process. We'll be covering the processes along with the configuration needed behind to run the processes. That is the second one. And third thing is what are the various technology components being involved behind the scenes as well. And also we won't be learning more of those technology components, but Oracle has simplified to use the technology using the simple tools, but we have to learn those tools to interact with the applications. One example, as I said, HCM data loader, or HCM spreadsheet data loader, or paybase loader, or if you talk about outbound, it is Oracle transactional business intelligence reports, or HCM extracts, or BI publisher reports. So we'll be covering these tools as well, which will help us to interact with the application, basically. That is the main thing for any cloud application. Interaction with the cloud application is the first step to do. So we'll be covering that as well in detail. So that's the agenda behind these classes.
Okay. And will it be also giving the instance access for practice, right?
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hi, Lakshmi, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Hi, Shazad. What's the expectation of today's demo? Are we just having an overview of all the modules, and what's the duration for it?
Okay, so today's session is mainly going to talk about what are the course contents today's session for our upcoming sessions, and I'm going to start about the introduction of the Fusion applications, basically. So Fusion architecture, what are the different types of cloud services, and what are different types of cloud applications and deployment options. And if time allows, HCM Cloud Product Suite, key features, and supporting tools. So these are the topics which we are going to cover today.
What's the duration?
Duration is actually 2 hours. We already 20 minutes past, so we have 1 hour 30 minutes to cover this stuff.
Can we start on it? So if there's any questions, we can ask at the end.
Absolutely.
I'm pressed at the moment.
Absolutely. Sure. So yeah, as I just said, let's take questions at the end of the session. So let me start directly with the course contents now. Okay. Right. So as I said, this course is core HR implementation, payroll implementation, Taleo implementation, and compensation module implementation, basically. So we are going to cover these three core main. I'm going to mute everyone. You can unmute yourself if you have any questions. Okay. So yeah, core HR model implementation, payroll implementation, Taleo implementation, compensation implementation. Along with the implementation of all these modules, we're going to talk about the technology behind each and every module. What are the common components behind all of these modules, and what are the foundation needed to start implementing any of these modules, and what are the technology components behind that. Okay, so let me briefly talk about what are we going to cover on all these modules in day-wise, and then I will start with the first concept today. Okay, so I'm gonna break every class is 2 hours a day, and I have given the schedule day-wise. And the first day we're going to talk about what is the cloud applications, what is the Fusion architecture, what are the various deployment options being offered out of the cloud applications, and what is the SaaS software as service, what is platform as service, what is infrastructure as service. We're going to talk about all those things in the day 1. And day 2, we're going to talk about what is HCM and the Fusion applications, what does Oracle is offered for human capital management cloud, what are the various models we have in human capital management cloud, what are the features of the HCM cloud, and how we can begin with the implementation. Begin with the implementation means that the first initial step of the Fusion implementation, basically when you write agreement with Oracle and your company, what is the beginning step? What will be the first step is going to happen? From that step onwards, when we identify the administrator, from that step onwards, how we start planning our implementation. And then how we are going to begin with implementation. Are we going to do the implementation by ourselves within our company? Are we going to get the implementation partner? If you get the implementation, how do we begin with the implementation, basically? And I'm going to talk about that. Once then, I'm going to introduce you to one module called Functional Setup Manager. It is actually another module being offered in the Fusion application. The Functional Setup Manager helps you to do the project management in the Fusion application, basically, which will simplify you to segregate your implementation process. Like what if you implement human capital management, core HR, or if you want to implement financial module, a general ledger. Okay, if you want to implement any module, basically, what are the series of steps you have to follow? Out of the series of steps, what are the mandatory steps? What are the optional steps? If it is a mandatory steps, typically how you need to perform those operations, who should perform those operations, how do you track the status of those operations, like task-wise, or task list-wise, or module-wise, or whole component-wise. Basically, I will talk about FSM in detail, which also help you to export the configurations from your test instance to production instance and vice versa. And then I'll start about the page navigations. Basically, what are the typical page navigations being involved in the Fusion applications, starting from home page, global areas, to springboards, to navigate a menu, to infolets, quick actions, settings and actions, categories, page entries, many other things typically which is necessary to, if you want to look into the Fusion application, what are the typical page navigations being involved, and and I will teach you like what are the components behind that, and you will be seeing how you can interact with the Fusion applications. Basically, it's not necessarily HCM Cloud, it can be any other module, how you interact with and how you call the components as, how you use such functionalities, and what are the work areas, tasks, smart navigations, application help, and embedded help, all that in the page navigations. And next day I'm going to start about security, because once you identify using Functional Setup Manager what modules you are trying to implement, once you identify the module, the first step comes in any implementation to security. How you have to begin with your security, how you gonna secure your Fusion application. It's not the security when I talk about, not necessarily is like infrastructure security or network security. It's all about application security, how you secure your data. Example, in HCM application, security is very, very important. Example, if you're talking about HR specialist in North America, it means the HR specialist should be able to see the employees only in the North America, that is US and Canada. That HR specialist should not see any employee out of North America. I'm giving you an example. Basically, that kind of security, if you want to begin that kind of security, you have to understand what are the components involved in the security models. Basically, what security reference model does Fusion applications are following, and what are the building blocks to implement security in the Fusion application. And I begin with the first time user access. Who is the first user who is going to access the Fusion application? From that time onwards, gradually, if you want to implement the application, if you hire some contractors, creating user account for the contractors, from the contractors or implementation users, once they do the implementation, once they establish the enterprise structures and work structures, how do we use enterprise structures and work structures gradually in implementing the security in the Fusion applications, and various components in the security security thing. Basically, how to create a role, or how to copy a role, or how to identify the username policies in the Fusion application. The username policies in sense how you want the username should be, want to have employee number, or first name dot last name, or first letter of first name dot last name, or various username policies and password policies in sense, do you want to have a complex password for your Fusion application, or a simple password, uppercase letter, lowercase letter, special characters? Along with that, we also talk about Active Directory Bridge. Active Directory Bridge in sense, any company maintains their user accounts in their Microsoft Active Directories. So most of companies want employees to log into the Fusion application through single sign-on. It means they don't want to give a separate username and password to log into the Fusion application. Instead, they want to use the company single sign-on to log into the Fusion applications. In those cases, we have to establish a connection between your Fusion application to the Active Directory using the AD bridge. That is one way. There are various ways. So we want to establish a connection between the Fusion application and Active Directory, and how many various ways we can establish the connection. Again, you don't need to have the technology behind that. You don't need to have the network concepts behind that. All you need to follow is simple steps. You have to engage your company network team and Oracle support team, who will talk together and make your work simplified. So no need to worry about the technology behind that. I'm going to cover a basic concepts behind that and how you need to step forward to implement those kind of stuff. So it's about security. Once they're done with the security, then typically we are almost ready to begin with the core HR implementations, because we secured the instance with necessary security policies and security foundation, basically. Then I talk about core HR overview. Then we are going to begin with the core HR implementation, basically, because we laid the foundation, everything till now, function setup manager to security. Once we laid the foundation, means till now this process is common for any Fusion implementation. Take finance or HCM or CRM, sales, or any module. These steps are must, right? After that, then you will decide which module you're going to implement. Then we have decided to implement core HR. Then we're going to talk about core HR. What is core HR? I'm going to talk about that. Core HR is very, very foundation to implement the HCM module, and not only HCM module. In reality, if you want to implement any module in the finance application, core HR is must. Why? Because to implement security, one of the building blocks of security implementation is core HR. Because without core HR, you cannot implement security. That is why if you implement any module, irrespective of core HCM or finance, any module, core HR is must. So I would say core HR is also necessary to implement any module, but here we are talking about core HR in detail. But in general, any other module need the foundations of core HR. I will cover what are the foundations of core HR, what is the in detail view. But here we are talking about the in detail implementation of HCM module. Out of HCM, in the HCM module, there are various submodules. One of submodule is core HR basically, which is the foundation for HR module implementations. So core HR overview, I'm going to talk about again the foundations of core HR: enterprise structures and workforce structures, workforce rewards, workforce lifecycle, workforce directory. Under core HR, these are all comes under sub-modules basically. So I'm going to give a brief introduction about that because I'm going to cover everything in detail: enterprise structure, workforce structures. I'm going to cover everything in detail basically: workforce rewards, workforce lifecycle. Everything will be covered in detail. I'm going to give a brief introduction about what are the core components of core HR overview and what are the sub-modules. And then I'm going to take a hypothetical company. So as we are going to start the core HR implementation here, I'm going to visualize a hypothetical company. I will take a company spanning across multiple countries with various business units, multiple legal entities, with multiple legal employees, with a couple of payroll saturation units and LDGs, legislative data groups for each country, and divisions and subdivisions and departments. I'm gonna assume, hypothetical way, I'm gonna assume one company globally, which is spanning across globally. In an Excel sheet, we're gonna architect that, and we will discuss together, and we'll plan a company in Excel sheet, and we will think how to implement that company into the Fusion application. That is what we are gonna do in this hypothetical company. We'll take a hypothetical company for our training purpose, and we will think all our HR implementation in perspective to that specific hypothetical company way basically. That is what we are going to begin with. Okay, and then by this we will come to know what we need to implement because we got the hypothetical company, right? And then what we're going to start, before directly jumping into implementation of hypothetical company, you should know some basic foundation of the Fusion applications. When I say basic components, means basic configuration components. What do you mean by basic configuration components? Like if you want to give a list of values, example, gender is there. What does the gender takes? Gender takes male, female, unknown, or something like that, right? Similarly, if you want to take a married, what does the married take? Single status, married, divorced, or single spouse, something like that. So we want to maintain the list. There's a list of values, right? Where do we maintain it? So those kind of things, basically, there are some common configuration we have to learn. It is very important, and this common configurations also applies to any Fusion application implementation modules. So I'm going to talk about the global preferences. Global preferences in sense, if a user logs into the system, in which currency they want to see the currency, or in which language they want to see the data, or which timestamp, which time zone they want to see the time in the application. That preferences can be set at user level, that preferences can be set at global level. And they talk about profile options. Profile options are very, very important, which actually takes care most of the inbuilt configuration, which I will talk about in detail. So we have various profile options. I'm going to talk about profile. People who are from ABS background, they could understand it. People who are not from ABS background, not necessarily that you have to understand it. But profile option, we have various profile options, which actually decides the process flow in the system, which actually derives most of the inbuilt properties into the system, which I'm going to talk about it actually. So, and then I talk about lookups and geographies, which I'm mentioning here. First thing, I will talk about value sets and what are the different value sets we have: independent value set, dependent value set, table value set, and everyone has their own categorization. And we talk about lookups, common lookups and standard lookups. How do we define a lookup? What is a lookup? No need to worry, I'm going to tell about that. And we talk about the flex fields. What are the various flex fields in the Fusion applications? That is descriptive flex fields, key flex field, and extensible flex fields, and how do we implement those flex fields? These are all common configurations actually. And then geography structures. What is the geography structure? Example, if an employee wanted to enter his or her own address, then what typically they will choose what country they belongs to. Whenever they choose the country what they belongs to, automatically the next field that state should populate automatically with the list of values what is available in the United States. Example, if I choose a state, let us say if I choose Illinois as a state, automatically based on the state, city value should get automatically populated, right? So if you want that to get populated automatically, that geography structure, right? How do we implement that geography structure or geography hierarchies and make sure they are validated properly? Then how do we implement the geographies? Because this geography is necessary for any implementation. It's not necessarily human capital management. Think of if you wanted to give a location for your cost center in the finance, or think of an example, you wanted to customer address in the CRM sales. So basically, if you want to give that, geography structures are very, very important, and it is again a common implementation, not necessarily a core HR part, but core HR, it plays very, very important role because we are talking about employees, right? Their employee addresses, which will decide their taxes, state taxes or federal taxes, right? So that is why the geography validation is very important in our HCM applications. And then I'm gonna continue with some common technologies for extracting the data out of the Fusion application. What are the various technologies which you can extract data out of the Fusion application? Why I'm talking about extraction of data here? Because I'm talking about geographies here, right? I'm talking about loading the geographies into the Fusion applications, basically. And also I'm talking about some components as a common configurations here. Basically, if you wanted to extract the data in bulk and do your validations, once you load the data for your geographies, and if you wanted to see what data you loaded into the system or how it got loaded into the system, you wanted to extract data out of the system. That is why I introduced it here, though it doesn't make much sense. But I want to talk about how many ways you can interact with the applications through backend, basically. Why I say backend? From frontend, you can always see, if you load a geographies from frontend, you can see for United States what geographies you have loaded. How you load it into the system, again, that is a process given by the Oracle. You nothing to worry about that. If you follow the standard steps, automatically you can load data into the system. It's not necessary you should know SQL, PL, SQL, Java behind the scenes. All you need to know the process behind that, basically. And then I talk about the as I said, backend integration, various ways how you can, when I say backend integration, nothing but reporting, basically. What are the various reporting tools involved in that? And I'm going to talk about a BI publisher, and also I'm going to talk about OTBI, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence, and also I'm going to talk about HCM extract, basically. Right? So yeah, so here you'll understand how to pull the data in bulk out of the application, basically. Okay, right. After that, after common application configuration, the next important part is this one, the foundation of core HR. What is the foundation of core HR I was telling here? It is the foundation of core HR, which I was talking about. Then I'm going to talk about each and every individual submodule in the core HR, that is beginning with enterprise structures. So what is the enterprise structures? Basically, enterprise structures talks about what is your enterprise name. Let us say my enterprise name is a Microsoft. So enterprise or Microsoft, basically. What is the Microsoft properties? How do you define person numbers in the Microsoft? What is the starting person number of your Microsoft? What is your employment models being followed in the Microsoft? Or do you follow jobs or do you follow positions? I will talk about what is job and position. So because Microsoft follows multiple assignments for an employee. It means one employee can do multiple jobs at a time. So the various properties comes under enterprise, actually. So we're going to talk about what is enterprise. So what is the enterprise level properties, basically? So there are many properties comes under with enterprise, basically. Employment models, as I said, person name and duplicate checks, and how do you assign the username? How do you automatically assign username or roles to the employees who are employed under this enterprise? Basically, I talk about what is enterprise, and then we're going to talk about what is a division, what is a legal entity, what is legislative data group, what is a business unit, what is a reference data sets, and how they link to each other, and how they play their individual roles in any company to implement the core HR, how those components are useful in day-to-day activities in various other modules, and why do we define these components and all these things. Basically, these components definition we will be hypothetically will be starting when we define this hypothetical company here. Here we're going to talk about how our structure should look like, and I'm going to map that hypothetical company with the enterprise structures what we are going to talk about. We have the complete list of enterprise structures what is there in the Fusion application, and we're going into the detail of each and every individual example. If it is a legal entity, we're going to talk about what is the legal entity role and what is the use of it, how it is associated to a legal employer, and how it is associated to the payroll saturation unit. When we need to have a payroll saturation unit, why do we need to have a legal address and legal reporting units? Along with that, when we say payroll saturation unit, why do we need LDGs, legislative data groups, legal jurisdictions, and legal authorities if we use the legal reporting units? Basically, we talk about this relationship, these dependencies, and how they interrelate to each other, how they come along together to typically start with our implementations, basically. And then we talk about reference sets, data sets, and business units, which is very important topic. Though instead of explaining you here, when I explain there, when I talk about with the diagrams, with visualizations, then you clearly understand why we thought of using reference data sets and business units and business unit assignments, which typically help you to segregate your data while implementing or while using the HCM applications all the time, right? So these are all the enterprise structures. Once we are done with enterprise structures, then we go with the next step of enterprise structures. Once we implement enterprise structures, only then we have to go to the next step, that is called work structures. Because once you decide how many divisions you should have in your company, like example, if it's a Microsoft will have the mobile division, software division, or support division. If you think like that, division can be anything. You can divide division by the business module wise, or you can divide the division by geographical wise. I could say Microsoft is in the Latin America division or North America division or APAC division. I can divide like that too, or I can divide by the business wise, or I can divide by geographical. We have various ways we can divide our enterprise structures. I'm going to talk about that when I talk about hypothetical company, various ways how we can divide our company. Because based on that, you will decide which is division, which is legal entity, or which is business unit, basically. So we have to give enough thought in while defining our company. Or as an implementer, when you talk with your clients, you should understand their enterprise structure, basically how they want to do the business, how they are doing the business, and HR perspective example I'm saying. So how you wanted to keep that structures when they want to build a new HR application, how they wanted to restructure the structure, or do they want to keep their own structure? If it is their own structure, then we have to understand how many divisions they have, how many business units they have, how many legal entities they have. But within legal entities, how many are really the legal employers, how many are the payroll saturation units, who really paying for the employees. So all those things you have to analyze. To analyze that, you should understand what is enterprise structure, how they relate to each other, and how they used in the subsequent modules. If you know that, then you can do that thorough analysis in identifying the enterprise structures. And the next step of enterprise structures is workforce structures. What are the workforce structures? Like locations, work locations. Where do employee work? How many work locations do a company has?
Hi Lakshmi, this is Prashant.
It's Prashant. Yes, Prashant.
Yeah, just two things. This course, which we are going through, it's more look towards the technical front rather than functional. And second thing, we are using some topics like Microsoft. So I was a bit confused on that part.
Oh, no. I was taking actually an example, basically. Example, if you want to implement a core HR to a company called Microsoft, example I'm saying. Or if you want to implement core HR module to a company X, that's my intention. If you want to implement to a core HR.
Okay. And second thing, this course looks more towards the technical front rather than having a description on the configuration of core SI, core HR, SSHR, payroll, workforce structure in the terms of setting up this configuration perspective.
Actually, I begin with the configuration. Ultimate example, if you go with the workforce lifecycle, it all talks about the process what you're asking, like how to create an employee, how to maintain the employee information, what are the different processes involved in the self-service HR managers, in the manager self-service HR, what are the processes involved, what are the in employee self-service, what are the processes involved. So whatever you're talking about the process, when it talks about workforce life cycle, all those processes will come into the picture. But to start with this workforce life cycle, we have to finish up these configurations first. So my intention is implementation view and then the users view. So once you identify how to implement the module, and once you know how the implementation do work, then typically you know how to use the application. It is the users of the application. All these steps, what I'm talking about here, these are all the core HR processes being involved in this basically. So that's why I'm beginning with the configurations first. Once I'm done with the configuration, we'll talk about the processes. Once we talk about the processes, we can talk about how we can extend these processes or how we can customize this process a little bit, not in detail. So we talk about that. So does it make sense? Or still it is not aligning to what you are expecting?
It's okay, fine.
Okay. Let's continue the session. At the end of the session, maybe I could help you to clarify more, then you can understand that it worked for you or not. Okay. Right. And workforce structure. So we talk about, and then we talk about what are the workforce structures involved in the Fusion applications, like locations, organizations, locations, work locations. Organizations means departments. Organization can be a department or a division or a business unit. Or talk about organizations in detail, because we talk about any company, what are the organizations being involved, right? Various organizations. What are the types of organizations being involved? What are the different classification of organization? Then if you have organization, can be a division, a subdivision, or a business unit, or a department, or a cost center, or various things basically. If you wanted to build a structure in your organization, like hey, it is my company, under this company we have these many divisions, under this division we have these legal entities, or we have these business units, under the business units we have these departments, under these departments we have these cost centers. If you want to structure that, how you wanted to structure it, it's all planning basically. It doesn't really plays a major role, but structure will help you to define the security in the Fusion application. The structures will help you to do the reporting in the Fusion applications, various ways. Basically, we talk about that. And what are department? Every employee needs a department, right? They have to assign department. What are the reporting establishment? What are the trees? What are the collective agreements? If we have labor unions in your company, and what are the actions? What is the salary basis? Salary basis is important to identify what currency is your salary is. And it also talks about, are you hourly or monthly or annually or bi-weekly, or how you want it to have it. So the salary basis will talks about the salary and grades, jobs and positions. These all comes in the workforce structures, and we're going to cover in each and every individual thing. What is a location? How to create a location? How to associate with the geographies? What are the organization? What is the organization model? What are the classifications of organization? How do you define the organization trees? And actions, we talk about actions, action regions, action types. Actions, nothing but when you hire an employee, action is hire. When you promote an employee, action is promote. And under that, why you are promoting it? Example, maybe you're promoting maybe the annual salary or annual merit cycle, or different reasons. Those action regions, action types talks about that, which will help us to do the reporting, or it will help us to do the workforce approval process too. And then talk about collective agreements, which will talk about the bargain unions, other stuff. And the base compensation, we talk about the base compensation. How do you define the compensation within the company? We talk about the grades and salaries. When I talk about that, we talk about various ways how you define the grade and you associate grades with the jobs, and what are the grade rates and grade rate values, how grades link with the LEGs, as listed data groups, and how grades link with the compensation and payroll, and what are the grade ladders and grade ladders with steps. Not to worry, I'm just talking about what we're going to cover. And the next one is salary basis, which will decide, as I said, to decide about what is the currency of your salary, what is the frequency of your salary, and all the stuff. And then talk about jobs and positions, which are very important for any company. Like how do you define a job for the company, or there's a position as well, which is I work identical to the job, we have to decide whether our company need to go with a position hierarchy or a job hierarchy, when to decide a position, when to decide a job. If we decide job or position or decide both, how do we implement jobs and job families, grades, job profiles, job criteria, everything? Or if it's a position, what is the position management overview, hierarchy, synchronization, increment validation, lookup details and profiles, updating positions, all that stuff basically. So with this, most of the fundamental structures, important fundamental structures of core HR is completed basically. So remaining part of core HR is all about using these workforce structures and enterprise structures and defining the processes basically. We'll talk about it. That is why by here we are almost ready to start using the application for our next purposes, like for creating employee or for adding employee, we are ready to use. And also by this time, let us example and say workforce structures, locations, departments, organizations, grades, whatever. If any company wanted to move their core HR example from EBS to cloud, or they want to move core HR from other legacy application or custom application into the cloud, what is the first step they have to do? They have to load all their departments, what is there in their old system, into the cloud. They have to load all the work locations, what is there in the old system, into the cloud. They have to load all this information from their old system into the cloud. How do they load it? They do go and enter it manually, each and every record? Not necessarily, right? Example, let us say, I'll take example of Microsoft. At example, I'm taking a company like Reliance. So in those companies, they have hundreds of locations, or they have hundreds of departments. All those locations, departments, grades has to come into the cloud application. So we cannot enter them manually, but we have to load them in bulk. That is why I was introducing to the data loading techniques. How many ways you can load data into the cloud? Apart from manual entry into the screens, how many ways you can load data into the cloud? Then I am talking about the different integrators basically. That's why I'm going to give an overview of the inbound integration. What are the different data loaders available in the Fusion? And I'm going to talk about individual data loaders. One is spreadsheet data loader, that is also called ADF-DI, that is ADF data integrator. I will talk about HCM data loader. Formerly it used to be called as FBL, the file-based loader. Then I talk about a payroll data loader. And I'm going to give an introduction about web services overview and automations. It is actually needs some technology behind that. And I won't go in detail into that, but I will talk about how we can use web services to load data into the cloud. And I also talk about how we can use web services to automate the data loading. That is where, as I said, someone asked me a question at the beginning, do we need to know the technical components behind that? Yes, here actually we need a little bit more actually. We should know a little bit about how to consume web services, how to use web services to interact with the cloud, and how we can use web service to automate this. Again, for this also Oracle has given one simple tool called HDLDI, HDL Data Integrator, which can help you to automate a lot of stuff. I can tell you about that tool. That tool doesn't need any web services knowledge, but that tool will help you to automate the stuff. Maybe I will introduce to about that tool too, probably. I should have included it here, but I will add it here for my reference. Okay, so then once we know how to load data into the cloud, actually we are almost ready to load all this information into the cloud. Okay, so again, functional people may not do this. Functional people always work on the setting of this work structure, setting of this enterprise structures. Whoever is the functional people, they should know about this very well, basically. That is very important. Basically, and then most of the time technical people will take care of these inbound integrations, not the functional people. Whoever is technical people are there, they will take care of inbound integrations, but functional people should map up what exactly Fusion setups are, what exactly Fusion job structure looks like, Fusion grade structure looks like, our Fusion legal entity structure looks like, and then the functional people should tell to the technical people, hey, please make sure you provide data in this format. Then what happens, technical people will provide the data in this format, and they can help you to load the data basically, right? But if you are interested, you can, if you want more learn about technology as well, if you learn this, then you will become a complete HCM techno-functional consultant, I would say. Okay, right? That is the data loading techniques. Once we do the data loading techniques, mostly I would say we are well accustomed with interact with the cloud in any manner, because you can load data into the cloud, right? Once you have ability to load data into the cloud, it means you're almost ready to do any kind of implementation, basically. Okay, and then I'm continuing to the remaining submodules of the HCM, and this workforce records. Workforce records, nothing but maintaining the records in for employee or the for person, like what are the schedules of an employee, or to maintain the workforce information, what are the workforce lookups we need to have, like for person specific lookups, what are the person specific lookups, like as I was saying, like marital status is a person specific lookup which will store the marital status of any employee, or as I was saying, that worker type is an employee or a contingent, it means a contractor or a non-worker or a contact of a person or a pending worker, what kind of person it is and how to maintain those lookups, where we can maintain those lookups. And also profile options. Profile options typically says that what could be the naming style. Naming style in sense, if it is United States, what names we should capture. We should capture first name, last name, middle name, preferred name, like that. If it is a Mexico, what you should capture? You should capture first name, last name, maternal first name, paternal last name. That's how we have to capture. Basically, that's what it is. So how do you define that naming options or naming formats? And what are the naming styles? Basically, naming styles in sense, when you want to display the name of the employee, how do you want to display the name of the employee? Do you want to display the first name, comma, last name, or last name, hyphen first name, or last name, middle name, first name? What are the various naming styles? And also, what are the different person types? And what are the person lookups? So we're going to talk about all those common workforce records functionalities in the HCM module. And we talk about employment record values, and document of records. Document of records, nothing but if you want to maintain any document of an employee, that will become a document of record. The document types will vary by country. Example, in the United States, maybe W2 and W4 is necessary in the United States. Maybe if you go to the India, that the different forms are needed there. If UK, different forms are needed there. Or if you want to maintain a different documents for any employee, we can keep it in the document of records. So how do we keep a document? We will talk about it. Basically, we should know what is the document of records and how do we configure what are the different document types for each country. Most of the configuration is given by the Oracle, but if your company wanted to store additional document type globally or additional document type by country, we have to define that in the document of records configuration. And then checklist is another configuration typically which is needed. Like example, when an employee joined within the company, once employee joined the company, then typically we have to send a invitation, a welcome email, or we have to say that, hey, you have to enroll the benefits into the system, or you have to say, hey, you have to do the performance, you have to fill your goals for next 3 months within the system. Or we have to say that, hey, you have to raise a request for so and so access. Those we need a set of items to be followed by a new hire. Or one employee got promoted. Once employee got promoted, when a promotion happens, some necessary steps has to be followed. Example, an email should go to a manager saying that, hey, this person is promoted. Maybe this person is moving from your hierarchy to different hierarchy. Please make sure you move this person to the different hierarchy. Or email will go to the employee saying that, hey, you got promoted, you got a new cubicle allocated, so go to that cubicle. So some automations which we can use a checklist to do various operations being involved for any HR transaction that will come under checklist. We'll talk about what are the components in the checklist, how do we define a task list, how do we define a template, how do we define the allocation of the templates while the checklist operations being performed. That's all part of configurations basically. So once we have these configurations involved, then we typically talk about the workforce lifecycle. Workforce lifecycle means beginning from creating an employee and maintaining the employee information And after creating or maintaining employee information, like if you wanted to perform any manager self-service or employee self-service, basically I'm going to cover everything here. What is work life cycle? What are the total life cycle we have? And how to add a person. While adding a person, what is a work relationship? Here I'm going to cover about some terminologies which is very useful. And while adding person, how to create a work relationship, how to modify the work relationship. Based on the work relationship, we decide whether the person is employee or a contractor, a non-worker or a pending worker. While hiring an employee, if a person is already available, how do you verify that person is already available? Or while hiring an employee, if person is available, how do you rehire an employee? Or how do you add a dependent for an employee as a HR? All these things about HR basically. And how to, once employee is created, or if you want to maintain existing employee information, how do you maintain it? We'll talk about a page, person management work area, how to see the person records, and how do we verify, how do we set the person name format, name styles, name languages based on the country as a HR administrator, and how do we work with the person work relationship, how do you review the person information, how do you update the person data, how do you search the person information? Everything comes under management personal information basically. So management information is two types. One is the person information, other one is employment information. That is why I'm saying that after adding person, it is actually managing person information, personal information. Next thing is the employment information basically. So any HR will actually do this stuff. One, they will hire an employee, maintain the personal information of an employee, and maintain the employment information of employee basically. So here we talk about work relations type and assignment and work relationships. Again, collective agreements comes under the employment process. How do you define the bargaining units or collective agreements for an employee when hired? And what are the various assignments any employee can have? Primary assignment, secondary assignment, temporary assignment. Or if employee moved from one country to other country, then can be a global transfer. Or when a person moved within a country, one legal entity to other legal entity, maybe inter company transfer. Or maybe if person temporarily moving from this department to other department, that could be a temporary transfer. The various ways which we can define, everything is in your hands how to define it. And then also talk about assignment work hours, which will talk about is a person is a full-time equivalent employee, or this person we can combine for any legal entity. If an employee works for 40 hours, that person will become a full-time. If this person work only 20 hours, this person won't become a full-time. This person is become a 0.5 of FTE basically. So that depends again on the assignment work hours. We will decide how they work together, and the collective agreements in the assignments. How do we do the transfer actions? If a HR manager, want to do the transfer actions, what are the various transfer actions they can do? How do they maintain the direct reports under an employee, like subordinates under a manager, or if you want to assign an employee to the manager, or if you want to review employee from the manager, how do you maintain that? And also I'll talk about mass updates, another screen available in the Fusion application which you can use to do the mass updates of the employment information of the system. Example, if you wanted to move all the employees in this department to a different department, that is a mass update. Move everyone in this department to a different department. Those kind of things Oracle has given as screens which you can use to do that basically. And area of responsibility is another topic which is in the Fusion basically. This area of responsibility talks about, example, if I am from United States working in the sales department. So if I have any issue, who is my HR? How do I know the HR? That is what comes under area of responsibility. We have a configuration called, we can identify by geographically or by department or by business unit or by division. We can identify who is responsible for that specific functionality. Example, who is your finance manager? Or who is your benefits representative? Who is your payroll representative? All those things can be configured using area of responsibility, and we can define area of responsibility to figure it out. And then seniority dates is another important thing which is needed in any HR applications basically, which talks about our seniority date, which might helpful to derive the compensation, which will help derive the payroll, as on bonuses or many other stuff basically, and also PTOs. absences, all those things. How do we configure the seniority dates, and also talk about work schedules. Basically, some legal entities work, some company people work from 9 to 5, some work from 8 to 4, some work from 10 to 6, some work from nightly jobs. Basically, how we can define the schedules and how it can be reflected into the HR application. It's all about what I'm talking here. They're all actually what HR can do in the HR application. Next, what manager can do in the HR applications, and what employee can do in the HR application. That is called manager self-service. And next thing is employee self-service, basically. So I just mentioned about what manager can do here. So all those things, with respect to core HR, what manager can do, and with respect to employee, what employee can do, basically. Okay. So with this, core HR implementation functionality is done. It's completed, basically. Okay. In extension to that, I want to talk a little bit about a few more technical components involved in this HCM. I won't be covering in detail of this. Basically, I was told instead of covering into this technology, better to cover into the functionality. So I'm going to do a few modifications to these components, but I'm going to talk about what is OTBI, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence Tools, which actually very, very powerful tool to visualize your data and create dashboards, create KPI reports, or create scorecards, or create your performance KPIs, many more things, basically. And whoever doesn't have much technical knowledge, this OTBI tool is very, very useful to extract data out of the applications, basically. It's very, very useful, very simple to use, and a very powerful tool, basically, which very sure and most of companies are already using it, but I'm very sure this information is this OTBI tool is going to dominate everything in future. And then HCM extract is another important tool which is used to extract data out of the applications, and we can deliver the data whatever destinations you want it to. That can be your SFTP site, or your warehouse site, or your printer, or email, or scanner. You can print anywhere where you want it to using HCM extract, basically. And extending Fusion applications, basically how to customize the Fusion applications, basically how to, example, if you want to make a field as a required, how to make the field as a required, or how to, if you want one property of one field depending on another field. Example, if you choose the country as United States, automatically show this field. If you wanted to do the conditional logical way of showing the fields over the screens, or changing the properties of the screens, and those kind of things comes under these customizations, through which basically we have several tools called Page Composer, Application Composer, through which you can customize the pages if you want to do the page level properties. SaaS application only allows the changes up to the page level properties. If you wanted to go beyond that, if you want to customize the application a little bit more, then typically you should rely on other tools which is available in the platform as service module, like a Visual Builder Cloud Service or Java Cloud Service, other application, which we'll talk about it when I talk about the overview part, okay? Right, it's a core HR, and then after the core HR is done, we are jumping into the payroll, and we're gonna cover about the payroll concepts here. And payroll concepts here, typically it takes around day 23 to day 30, basically around 8 days we're going to talk about payroll, and then I'm going to start about compensation. Probably compensation, maybe I have given Taleo here, these were jumbled, but I'll talk about compensation later, which will again take 46 to 53, around 9 days. And then Taleo actually takes about...
Hello, Lasmi. Before you go to Taleo, in the payroll, would we be working on the absence management? Because I couldn't see absence management there.
Yeah, absence management, that's what actually I was going to talk about all about you. I have to take either compensation or absence, either of the thing I have to take. So along with core HR, we're going to take 3 more modules: payroll, compensation or absence management, and Taleo. That's what we're going to take, basically. So this way I didn't decide. So based on people voting, I'm going to replace compensation with the absence management. or vice versa. So,
okay. Could you go to compensation? Let me just have a look what is there, please.
So compensation, we're going to talk about. It's again, this is a common. This introduction, overview, FSM, page navigation, security is a common. Every module I'm going to talk about that basically. And then this compensation, basically we have three things. One is base compensation, individual compensation, and workforce compensation. And last one is compensation statement. We're going to talk about these three. When I say base compensation, it's all about the employee base level compensation, basically their salaries. Individual compensation, in sense, if a company wanted to reward an employee like a spot bonus, or if wanted to a merit award only to the specific employee, how many various ways they can provide the individual compensation. And the workforce compensation is nothing but if you want it, every year we have the annual merit increases, right? Salary increases, or every year all the employees get the bonus, or all the employees get the stocks, or sales performance incentives. If you talk about a workforce, if you talk about a large number of employees, that is nothing but workforce compensation. How many various ways we can provide the workforce compensation, and how to configure the workforce compensation, that's all talks about workforce compensation basically. These three consider compensation. And then the total comp statement, actually nothing but every year, end of the year, or anytime employee wanted to see what is the total compensation being offered by the company to you. That compensation can be your salary increase, your bonus, or your stocks, or your benefits, what employer is getting paid, or any other PTOs or any employer benefits which will come under one roof. That is called total comp statement. How do you make it available to the user, and how do you generate the statements in one place? So that talks about total comp statement basically. So I have to decide whether we need to take compensation or absence management. So if I take absence management, how does it look like? Is, let me open that content as well. Probably it will be.
Hello, Lakshmi, this is Prashant again.
Yes, Prashant. Yes, Prashant, tell me, Prashant.
Yeah, but compensation also, you required absence management as a prerequisite, because it is working as your time and labor and time management and attendance something. So that is also required for compensation, right?
Not necessarily. So example, let us say if you wanted to give any,
but there are certain portions where we have to refer the absence management as a part of compensation.
That's right.
I think so that compensation will not be complete without absence management.
Not necessarily, as I said, right?
No. Sorry, I think this compensation has got much to do with compensation workbench. So it's not directly related to absence.
Right. That's
so absence is different. Yeah.
It's not necessarily. Then there are some cases probably, but yes, to implement compensation, it's not necessarily that we should have the modules. But there are some cases. Example, compensation might link to the performance management. Why? If a manager want to give a merit increase, they have to see what is their performance rating is. So that is one scenario. Or it might link to the absence, but it not directly. Now the compensation won't stop it, but how it links. Maybe our compensation while doing the bonus increases, maybe we have a criteria that if employee is more than 30 days on a leave or more than 2 weeks continuously on a leave in a year, then they are not eligible to get the bonus. So in derive the eligibility, in that case we may need to do, but it's not directly related to the time and labor or absence management like that, not necessarily. So common compensation management, the mandatory stuff is core HR. Without core HR, you cannot start the compensation. That's the thing.
So basically, we are taking only 3 modules, which is basically core HR, SSHR, payroll, and then Taleo and compensation, right?
Yes, that's right. So that's what I'm going to replace.
SSHR we are taking, right? Self-service.
Yeah. And manager.
Sorry to say, self-service we are taking, right?
Yes, it is here. We're taking the manager self-service and employee both. Employee self-service nothing but this is nothing but SSHR, self-service HR. So we are governing it actually.
So Lakshmi, I have a quick question.
Yeah.
Once we complete the core HR and payroll here in the training session.
Yeah.
So once the payroll is complete, then will we be able to hire an employee and process the complete payroll, and then, generate the payslip and then the W-2. The entire process is going to work.
Yes.
So it's like you are showing us the implementation, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. All the configuration, everything. So once we are done with payroll, we should be able to.
Absolutely. You will be able to do that. Yeah.
Completely till W-2.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Only thing I'm going to do is compensation. I will be. Either I have to take comp and absence management. Probably I will replace compensation with absence management. That's my plan. If I replace compensation with absence management, so it is how it do look like. I'm going to implement absence actually. So it is absence management. This course is for other people who don't need Taleo. So it's different classes going on. So it is what we're going to cover in the absence management basically. So we're going to talk about what is, again, same thing, absence management overview and absence management configuration and different plan types, accrual plan, qualification plan, accrual matrix, so enrollment and records, and absence processes and approvals. So these are all going to cover basically. So probably I will replace compensation with absence, and then I will take it from there. Okay.
Sorry, Lakshmi. Is it what you're deciding now, or you want us to talk to you about it? Because from my own experience, that compensation is very, very important. Absence management is something you can teach within 1 or 2 hours, but compensation takes some time. So, and compensation is not that easy to come by. In EBS, I've done CWB, and I know it takes a lot of time.
I know that.
The implementation is very big, and the demand is very high. But for absence management, the demand is not that high, and it's very easy to teach. It's very easy to pick up. So, basically, if it's something that some of us can come back to you, because
I also prefer compensation to be taken.
To be honest, compensation is far more better.
Yeah.
So to be honest, I've done EBS compensation, but I've not done EBS fusion, and I know how complicated it could be. Absence management is very easy. You could do that within 1 day.
Yeah.
But compensation, I know you cannot do it within 1 day.
Without knowing it, we cannot.
And the demand is very high.
I also prefer compensation to be taken care in this session, rather than absence management.
Okay, so then anyone want the absence management specifically? Okay, it's all no then.
I'm happy with compensation. This is almost, and I'm happy to go along with compensation.
Perfect. Okay, yeah. So yeah, as you see that compensation takes more time compared to absence, definitely. It needs more explanation of definitely basically. So yeah, then we'll take compensation only. That's not a problem. Okay, so I am going to jump start into the first introduction class today. Okay, so let me take up that slide, and after that I will take up the Q&A. So bear me for a minute. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to start about the overview. Okay, so I'm going to talk about a little bit about the Fusion middleware here. So nothing to worry or nothing to scared on it. It's all about a quick discussion. So it's as we are talking about a Fusion application, I need to talk about architecture too. That is mandatory. That's why I'm going to cover what components will be there in the Fusion application architecture. But in reality, we won't be looking at the middleware components in detail in our techno-functional implementation course. So don't worry about that. Okay. So what we're going to talk about today, basically, we're going to talk about the first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, 1, 2, 3, 4. We are going to talk about the first 4 components today. what is Fusion application, what is the Fusion application architecture, what are the cloud deployment option, what is SaaS, what is PaaS, basically. That's what we're going to talk about, okay? So what is Fusion application? So I would say Fusion application can be best described, which is built on an open standards-based platform. What do you mean by the open standard-based platform? To find any application, we need two things. One is a great technology, and one is a good business processes. You need a great technologies and we need a good business processes. We need those two things. If you have a great technology, then the implementation is very quick. If you have a great business processes, then it is very much reachable to the end user very quickly, right? That is why Oracle took those two things into the mind and built Fusion application on open standards based platform. When I say open standards based platform means these are the list of components are there, and these components are not really interrelated to each other. Every component has its own identity, and every component is very much powerful in their own area. And Oracle took all those best business components together and created a platform for the Fusion application and started implementing the Fusion applications on top of it, basically. To mention few, they are Oracle Server, Oracle Service Oriented Architecture, which is actually enabled to define the processes very quickly. And WebLogic Server, if you create any Java application, we can deploy it very easily, very quickly, and very easy to maintain. That is WebLogic Server. And JDeveloper is a tool through which you can develop your Fusion application pages or Fusion application workflows very quickly. The JDeveloper uses a framework called ADF, Application Development Framework, through which you can create your applications very quickly. And OBIEE is also same as OTBI, Oracle Transaction Business Intelligence, which I was talking before. OBIEE, Oracle Business Intelligence Enterprise Edition, actually is a powerful reporting tool given out of the Fusion middleware. Web Center Portal is actually through which you can quickly create any of your enterprise websites or company websites or micro websites very quickly. And Oracle Web Center content is the place where you can maintain the digital content of your company, any of your documentation of your company in an organized manner and a secured manner. Web Center content is useful. Enterprise Manager, which typically keep checking the health of each and every module. They are talking to each other. Every technology component is working good. Enterprise Manager will take care of that. Identity management is actually creation of user account to the termination of user account to maintain the state of the user account or the period of the time. And all those things will be maintained by identity management. So these are all the list of components built on which Fusion applications has been built, basically. These are very independent. Because of this independency, it is easy to configure, easy to reuse, and easy to maintain, basically. That is why Fusion applications have become so popular, because of this open standards based platform, basically. Okay, so how it is being used, I will talk about it in a while. Just try to understand whatever we are talking now is not relevant to the one what we were speaking before. It's all about the Fusion application, Fusion architecture. Okay, just think in that Fusion architecture in view. Don't relate it with the what we have discussed before. The one we discussed is completely different. And it's built on the best business processes. What does it mean? Back in 2005, once Oracle started implementing the Fusion application, by the time they bought the PeopleSoft, JD Edwards, Siebel, Oracle On Demand, and also Oracle eBusiness with the legacy application of the Oracle, what they did, they combined all these applications together, and what are the best process. Example, hiring an employee is the best in PeopleSoft. Okay, take the process. Or running the payroll is best in a PeopleSoft. Okay, just take it. Or providing the compensation is best in the e-business. Okay, just take it. So take the processes happening from all the best business processes, and they combine all them together into one thing called Fusion. Actually, that is why people who are in the e-business suite, not necessarily the Fusion will work exactly as e-business suite. No, because there is a change happened. What is the change? They haven't took everything from e-business suite. Basically, they took only the main things which will work, which is best in the EBS and best in the PeopleSoft, JD Edwards. They combined everything together, and they got the best business processes, actually. So these two things are the main thing which made Fusion unique in the market. And the next thing is the deployment option. So once you have the platform and the application is okay, next thing is maintenance of the application, right? If you where you want to install it, where you want deploy it, Oracle has simplified it. They said that they give various deployment options. Initially, what used to happen, we have to deploy it within our company. To deploy within our company, we should have our own data center. If we have our own data center, our network team should be there, our DBA should be there, and they should be able to help us to maintain our application. What Oracle did, Oracle gave us various options of implementation. One is public cloud. Oracle will maintain your application along with many other companies. Private cloud. Private cloud means Oracle will install it and maintain the application only for you. Means you don't need to maintain your own network team, own DBA team. They will maintain it only for you. On-premise means, okay, they will give the software. You go and install yourself. You maintain your DBA. You maintain your network. It is your choice. That's what Oracle say. Hybrid. Maintain some in cloud. Oracle will maintain something for you and something you have to maintain for you. So they are also given various deployment options. So these three things made Oracle very, very powerful basically. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Fusion application architecture. So in any application, we need three things: front-end user interface, any software application basically, and they need a database and they need an application server. That's what anything you need, right? Even Fusion is also same thing. They also has front-end user interface, actually nothing but Oracle applications product families. The middleware, the Fusion middleware, and third one is Oracle database. They have these three basically. Okay, so one minute. Yeah, so we have this database too. Now, what is Fusion product families? So Fusion product families, basically what they did, Oracle has divided the product families into multiple things. Human capital management is on product family. ERP is on product family. Supply chain management is on product family. Enterprise performance management is EPM is on product family. Customer experience is product family. Industry solutions, Internet of Things, adaptive intelligence applications, functional setup manager, analytics dashboards, KPIs, key performance indicators, and extensibility framework. So they gave the multiple product families actually. So out of these product families, our intention is to learn this human capital management product family. Out of the human product management product family, basically we are learning global human resources, and in the workforce rewards, we are learning the compensation and payroll. And talent management, we are learning the Taleo basically. That's what we are covering, but these are all the list of modules being offered in the human capital management basically. So, and for all these modules, we have the functional setup manager, which is very common being given for every product family, and we are going to learn this one too. And analytics, dashboards, KPIs, all these things comes under the OTBI reporting. Extensibility framework, nothing comes under customization, which we are going to learn about that one too. And again, every module, example, every module, human capital management has a talent management, workforce rewards, workforce management, work-life solutions. Out of this, every module has sub-modules. Talent management has recruiting, onboarding, performance, career learning. Workforce reward has this. I'm going to cover about this in detail in the next session actually. When I talk about HCM overview, I'll talk about each and every module and their sub-modules too. And workforce management and work-life solutions basically. These are all the list of sub-modules offered out of the HCM. Now coming to the Fusion middleware. Fusion middleware, so we learn product families. Next step is the Fusion middleware. Fusion middleware has two things. Again, Oracle Fusion middleware is not only for the product families, right? So Fusion middleware, what Oracle means, if you buy a Fusion middleware, it's not necessary that you have to use what all the Fusion product families has. What else you can do? You can also create your own custom application and deploy in the Fusion middleware. Or you can use the Fusion middleware components for your business processes. Example, Oracle SOA is there, Oracle Service Oriented Architecture. If you buy that, you can use the Oracle SOA to streamline your custom application processes too. It's not necessary that you have to use Oracle SOA only for the Oracle product families. Similarly, Oracle has a JDeveloper or application development framework. you can use the application development framework or JDeveloper to create your own custom applications to run your custom processes. It's not necessary that you have to use it for Oracle product families. That is why what Oracle did, Oracle categorized the Fusion middleware in two things. One is Fusion middleware infrastructure components for Fusion applications, and other one is Oracle Fusion middleware components. So these are the two things what Oracle has categorized within the Fusion middleware. For Fusion middleware infrastructure component for Fusion application, we have three things. One is Oracle Fusion middleware extensions for applications, and Oracle Enterprise Scheduler, and third one is Oracle Enterprise Crawl and Search Framework, ESCF. So what are these three? Oracle Fusion middleware extensions of Fusion applications is, if you have the Fusion product family, example, human capital management. In the human capital management, we have a global human resources or core HR. In the core HR, you are creating an employee. The screen is there where you are creating an employee. In the creating an employee example, you want to change a property of one field. Example, for United States, you want to make sure marital status is mandatory field. Anyone has to enter the marital status. So, but Oracle is in what Oracle is offering in the screen, they're not keeping the marital status is mandatory. Then what you will do? You will customize the screen and change the property as mandatory. That user interface changes will come into the user interface shell, US shell. That will be stored in the Fusion middleware, actually in the Fusion middleware extension for Fusion application. Similarly, additional flex fields. People who know flex fields maybe understand, but I'm going to cover our flex field in detail. So flex fields is actually capturing the additional data. Example, Oracle has offered hundreds of fields out of the product family. Example, create employee only. There are, if Oracle is offering all those fields to capture employee information in your company, that information is not sufficient. You want to capture more information on the screen for an employee. Then what you need to do, you have to have more fields on the screen. To enable more fields, you can use the flex fields. If you enable a flex fields, that is nothing but additional fields which you are capturing on the screen. Those additional fields will be again stored in this Fusion middleware. That is part of the extension for the application. Similarly, enterprise scheduler means any application need jobs to be scheduled. Example, every day and night, I want all the new hire employees information in an email to a HR manager end of the day, every night, for example. Then you have to run a job every night and then schedule the job every night so that the job will run, look for all the employees got hired for the day, compile an email, send email automatically to a HR manager. Example I'm saying. So it means every night one job has to run. That what job has to run, how to, what frequency they have to run, to whom we have to deliver, all those things we can define in the application basically. That is where we will define an enterprise scheduler, where we can define, schedule, and run the Oracle application product family jobs. So OES, Oracle Enterprise Scheduler, again resides on the Fusion middleware. And the next one is Oracle Enterprise Call and Search Frame, which is very, very powerful tool. Basically, most of the drawback in the legacy application like e-business suite, what it is example, if someone wants you to go ahead and create a job, you should know the navigation. You should know from which screen to which screen you have to go. If you are a e-business suite person, you have to know which responsibility you have to log in. From that responsibility, which menu you have to go. From that menu, which function you have to know that. If you don't know that, it's very difficult to go to that specific screen. But what Oracle has simplified here, they have given an enterprise crawl and search framework, a screen where you can search. You can go there, create job. If you create job, then automatically that specific screen name will pop up. If you click on the screen name, automatically you will go to that screen, which is enabled through this Oracle Enterprise Crawl and Search Framework, ESCF, which is very, very powerful tool. While you use it, you will not understand why it is important. So these are all the list of Oracle Fusion middleware infrastructure components for Fusion applications. Next thing is the Fusion middleware components. These Fusion middleware components, which are common to both product families, and also if you buy the individual product, you can use it for your custom applications too. We have a long list of the Fusion middleware components which are deployed on the WebLogic server basically. So if you want these components will talk together using the Oracle Enterprise Manager Fusion Application Control. And if you want, if Fusion Application Enterprise Manager help us to talk all these applications together. These are all things what I spoke about. ADF, Application Development Framework, to create a new pages in your custom applications or product families. Oracle Server to streamline your business processes. Identity management to create user account, to termination of user account, to maintain the whole state. OBI to create the powerful reporting. ODI is actually ETL, to proprietary ETL tool of the Oracle, where you can extract, transform, load data from this application to that application and any application. Oracle Secure Enterprise Search Framework can be used for custom applications too. And this framework also helps you to enable this Oracle Enterprise Call and Search Framework too. Oracle Web Center Portal, where you can create your websites, your external websites or internal websites or microsites, whatever. If you want to maintain the digital content in your company, then typically you can maintain Oracle Web Center content. Oracle HTTP server is actually, if you have any web application deployed on the Fusion middleware, which will be deployed over the globe. Basically, example, your company site is there, which is deployed on the Fusion middleware. People will start accessing your company website. To access your company website, we need a HTTP server, which will allow you to the input connections and output connections, basically. Oracle Web Gateway, basically Oracle Web Gateway, Oracle WS something security policy manager, these two work together. Basically, someone comes into your system, basically Web Gateway decides that which application it is going to access and it's going to send to the respective HTTP site. And similarly, workforce or security manager, LSM policy manager talks about whether anyone coming into our application is satisfying the security policies or not, proper security certificate is there or not, only then it allows the incoming connection. And WebLogic communication services, basically, if you wanted to talk to your system, if your system want to interact to the mobile or through SMS or through dial-up call, phone call, basically, those kind of connections, dial-in call connections, or those kind of interactions can be done through WebLogic communication services. So these are all terminology which you just need to see that, nothing to learn about it. But basically, if you go to platform or services, some of the components you have to touch base with, and you should know the functionality beyond that. But our course, it's not necessary that you have to use it. But while going through our course, some of the components will be working behind the scenes. Maybe I will tell you that point of time what functionality we are calling, but not necessary that you should know this, basically. Okay. And the next one is the Fusion database. We have the two kinds of databases. One is a Fusion application schema and Fusion middleware schema. Basically, Fusion application schema is for the Fusion product families, basically, and Fusion middleware schemas is basically any middleware components. If we have our custom application, then all the custom applications will go into the Fusion middleware schemas, basically. So these are two databases we have. With that, we have the front end is a product family, and Fusion middleware, we have seen the middleware components, and this is the database. If you combine all those things together, it is what it do look like, basically. Sorry, it looks like this. Sorry, it looks like this. Product families, Fusion middleware, database server, they all talk together using the enterprise manager, basically, or EPM, right? So that is how it do work. Okay. So let me go a little more to the deployment options, basically. So I was talking about deployment options. For anyone who is working in the cloud, they will be seeing the cloud terminology a lot nowadays, and the why cloud is so popular. And the reason is, one of the reasons is the deployment options example. So let me talk about what do you mean by that. Let us say public cloud. What is a public cloud? So let's take example of a WhatsApp. In the WhatsApp, what happens is WhatsApp is an application, right? It is available in my phone. It is available in your phone too, right? So where is the application installed? Application installed somewhere in the server. Basically, Google maintains that, and so Google server, Google data center. So whenever I type a message, what happens? Automatically that request will go to the Google, that application which is available on the Google data center, and automatically based on my whatever I am asking in the application automatically delivers that, basically. Same thing it happens to you. It means I'm a company A, My request will go to the data center, I get the response. Your company B, your request will go to same data center, get response back. So A, B, C, D, E, all the companies sharing the same data center, and all your requests will be served. And another thing to note here is, for me, I can only see my data. You can only see your data. It means data transparency is there, but application is same, right? Same thing you have to apply for the Fusion as well. In the Fusion also, in the Oracle public cloud, what Oracle will do, Oracle will install our application in the data center, and every company will access the application. Application is same, but while accessing the data, company A can see the company A data only, company B can see the company B data only, company C can see the company C data only, but application is the same. This model is called a public cloud. Okay, for this it is very cheap for Oracle to maintain easily, because one have to maintain only one application and all customers use the application. And this is very powerful model. Most of companies are going with this model. If anyone go with this model, typically we can identify them as a SaaS customer, software as a service customer. What is the problem with this? The problem with this is, example, in my case, my WhatsApp, I want to modify my WhatsApp feature. Example, my feature, I wanted to know when I send a message, when I send a WhatsApp message or someone sends me a WhatsApp message, I want an email come to me saying that, hey, you got a message. I want that feature. I want a feature when someone sends me a WhatsApp message, I want to get an email to my Gmail account. That's my feature. Can I get the feature for me alone? That's not possible. If WhatsApp implement that feature applies to A, B, C, D, E, everyone, right? I cannot implement that feature to me alone. That's not possible, right? So in that case, we cannot customize the application based on the company needs. That's not possible. If you want that, what we need to do, then you should have your own data center. That's where it is. You have your own data center. Company A can access the data center all alone. Only company A can see it. Company A can maintain it. Sorry, company A can only see the data. And this data set, this application will be customized for company A only, right? Then what's the problem with this? Why then this is, then of course it means Oracle has to maintain this data center only for company A, means additional cost, of course, right? Additional cost you have to maintain. And if company A changes anything in the application, Oracle won't support those changes. Anything else, it will support it. All those changes has to be taken care by if any change is done, then typically if that change breaks any other stuff, then typically company A is responsible to fix that. Oracle won't take that responsibility, but Oracle will still maintain the infrastructure, application, database, everything. But anything which you customize, that custom components won't be touched by the Oracle basically. But in the public cloud, Oracle will take full responsibility. If anything is down, any application went down, or any application feature is broken, or any bug is there, it is Oracle responsibility to fix it and give it to you. That's the difference between public cloud and private cloud. And some companies say that I really concerned about security, even though you give me 100% issues that my data is not visible to other company, but still I want to have my own data center. Even the security concern perspective, they can go here. Or if you want to go for more customization, they can go here. That is the difference between public cloud and private cloud. Both will be maintained by the Oracle, but the deployment, the maintenance or security will be a little bit different in the public and private cloud. In case of data center and on-premise, Oracle will give you the application to you. And all you can do, you have to install the application on your within your company basically, right? So with this model, I'm going to show you one more diagram to quickly what I was saying basically. So let us say it is my software package. It is a software package. Means your software has your application, right? Your application, and you have a database, and your application database should be available on one operating system. So runtime, middleware, operating system, these three things comes under operating systems and middleware. And the next thing is we need an infrastructure. Basically, need a server, storage, networking, virtualization on which you have to install your middleware and your application too, right? So we need, for any of our software package, we need all these components, right? In software as service, which is managed by the vendor, in the software as service, what happens is everything will be maintained by the vendor, that is Oracle. Oracle will take care of every maintenance. If any issue happen to anything, Oracle will take full responsibility, basically. Coming to a platform as service, what happens in the platform as service is you want to customize your application, or you want to have your own custom database schemas, right? So in those cases, only these two will be maintained by you, and middleware and network, everything will be maintained by the Oracle itself, basically. So if anything happens to your application, only the customizations what you have done, Oracle will do, you have to be responsible for that. Anything else, Oracle will take care of it, basically. So platform as service, application and database is managed by me, and remaining everything is managed by the vendor. Infrastructure as a service. Infrastructure as a service means infrastructure is offered by the Oracle. Infrastructure means hardware, right? Servers, storage, networking, virtualization, hardware. Oracle provides the hardware. You have to install your middleware and application database, everything, basically. If anything happens to the hardware, Oracle will replace it, or Oracle will maintain it or support it, basically. They will provide the warranty for it. But anything happens to this, it is our responsibility to fix it, basically. So it is one model. And last model is everything will be maintained by us. It is a pure on-premise application, basically. It can also be pure on-premise application if you buy this hardware from Oracle. If you don't buy this hardware from Oracle, or if you buy yourself this hardware, then it will be completely your on-premise application, basically. So these are all different models what we have. Out of this, SaaS model is very popular. This software as service is the one which we are going to use in all our training classes, basically, where everything is given by the Oracle. If you want to interact with the system, they have given a proper tools through which you can interact with the system, because we don't have ability to modify any of this, basically. So whatever is given out of the box, we have to use that. That's it we have. Okay. In the SaaS, we have, these are all the SaaS components what we have. Basically, in the SaaS, we have HCM, whatever I have shown you. These are all the list of SaaS components. And similar to the PaaS, let me show you that. If you go to cloud.oracle.com, you can see here, see all the applications comes under SaaS, basically. Okay, come to the platform. Oracle provide you the platform. Like if you want to go for database management, data management, or if you want to go for application management, these are all the things you can use. If you want to go to the custom integrations, these are all you can use. So basically, business analytics, security, it's all a platform as a service, basically. Coming to infrastructure, these are all the infrastructure what you can buy from Oracle. You can buy the cloud infrastructure, networking, storage, security, governance, load balancing, all these things you can buy from the cloud infrastructure, basically. So you can, and it is application. Platform means basically out of many components what we have, right? I was showing you several middleware components. You don't need to use all the middleware components. If you want to, by example, as I said, if you want to use SOA for streamline your business processes, you can buy SOA only. Or you want to you want to develop applications on the cloud, then typically you can use Java or Visual Builder, or you can use blockchain, digital assistant, or application container, or messaging. You can use these features. You can get licensing out of any of this one, and you can use that. If you want to have a Java cloud service, you can use Java cloud service to create your Java application on the Fusion middleware, which can be used, basically. So this Java Cloud Service, if you use Java Cloud Service, basically there are some dependencies there. If you want to buy Java Cloud Service, you have to buy Database Cloud Service too. That's the dependency. Some dependencies there, and typically based on your company needs, you can take one example. You want in your company, you wanted to implement, you wanted to use some integration tool which can help you to connect your custom components to the other applications, other cloud applications, or you want some integration tool. Then typically you can go to the integration cloud, which will help you to integrate any application to anything. Basically, it also comes under platform as service, which is under the Fusion middleware. You can buy the integration cloud alone, which can help you to integrate to any other applications basically. And example, if you want to use analytics, currently the whatever OTBI what you are using in the Fusion application, that OTBI only pulls the data from the Fusion applications only. But you want a visually rich analytical tool, a good OBIU tool through which you can refer any data from the e-business suite, or data from your Salesforce, or data from your Concur, or data from your other application. Get all the sources data together to one place, marry all the data together, and get a visually rich analytical reports. Then typically you have to rely on the business analytics basically. So everything has their own dependencies and own values. So typically we are learning platform here, and every example, if in the global human resources, if you want enhance the process, extend the process, then typically you cannot, with the SaaS we have limitations because we cannot extend beyond certain limit. In that case, you have to go to platform as service and buy the Java Cloud Service or Visual Builder Cloud Service to extend the application and deploy it on the cloud. Or in the global human resources, do the integrations up to one level. You can do the integrations if you wanted to implement a process within the integration, like once the data is loaded into the cloud, after that trigger another process which load data into the Active Directory. Once Active Directory data is completed, trigger another flow to send email to so and so person saying that data is complete. If you want to build the integrations along with the business processes, then typically you have to buy with the integration cloud service and process automation. You have to combine these two things together and do many more stuff. So there are no limitations for anything basically we can do. We can go at any level of extent, but at the cost of your licensing. Or some people actually do everything on their custom solution. Example, in our old classes, what we have done, what our integration is doing here. Integration cloud actually, the example what I'm saying basically, like once the data is loaded into the cloud, send it, immediately load data into the Active Directory. Once Active Directory is loaded, trigger an email. All the thing basically we have created a custom program and did in our own way from our own server. So there are various ways what we can do, either using the platform or you can the applications. Basically, we can various ways we can do, and we can implement that basically. Okay. So whatever I have given, basically all given the basic foundation behind that, and ultimately our classes go along with the SaaS platform. And based on your questions, I will let you know when to use SaaS platform and how we can use that basically. Okay. So with that, I will conclude today's session. And from the next session, we are going to talk about, we are going to start the real classes basically. So we are going to talk about, what is that? Yeah, we're going to start about HCM Cloud Overview, and that's where the real work will start basically. So that's what it is. And the next class probably the next week, and we'll be communicating sometime in the beginning of this week, the schedules and everything. So if you have any
Lakshmi, can I ask a question based on some of your explanation on integration and some of the setups? Now, because basically some of the people in this class, some of them are financials, procurements, supply chain.
Yeah.
They're using, they're going to be doing the training on HCM for the first time. Now, basically, I would believe some of them would like a bit of, okay, how would HCM integrate into what I already know? For example, procurement, GL, or supply chain. For example, when it comes to HCM, there's cost allocation. It will be linked to GL, so which is accounting, flex with or whatever. So basically, they would like a bit of linkage. Now, you don't necessarily need to go into other modules, which is in financials, but it will be good during the training if you can tell them, okay, yeah, this is what I'm doing in HCM, you will see this in GL. This is what I'm doing in HCM, you will see this in supply chain. So because I know there is a bit of linkage for each one of them, and it will be good for them to know, because that's one of the reasons why some of them are doing this HCM, so that they can link it with what they already know.
Okay. Yes, so absolutely. Especially the financial one that you said, that accounting structure. Yes, there is a link with that accounting key flex field. Basically, even the Fusion human capital management, while hiring an employee or while maintaining an employee, we have something called accounting key flex field, which we use in the Fusion in the HCM application.
We're brothers now. Sorry? I will call him. Because the hand is low, and there now.
Let me mute that. Okay, so yeah, that we have that accounting key flex field, which links to the finance world. Basically, that accounting key flex field structures will be defined by the if the financial is implemented as well in the cloud. Basically, those structures will be implemented by the financial teams, and those structures will be referred in the HCM module in the manage employment screen, where that flex feeds, maybe the 6 segments or 7 segments, whatever is given, we'll be using that. So I will show you that, and I will show you the configuration part too. But coming to the second thing is, most of times what happens once we send data to the payroll, when the payroll is processed, that payroll data has to be reported back to the general ledger, basically, where they will do that consolidation. So that part I may not be able to show, but I will try to see if I can cover that one for any chance, because I haven't touched much more into the financial configurations part. But I will show you the process, how we can move that payroll data into the general ledger, basically.
Okay. And another thing which you manage to let them know, because I've done a bit of fusion, is the legal entity, the enterprise structure, because especially in a company, because of global consistency, there will be the same enterprise structure, legal entity, divisions, organizations, especially in financial organizations. Instead of everybody having their own separate ones, there will be global consistency, so that it will be the same for financials and HCM. So those kind of things you manage to let them know, so that they will know, okay, this is what you're doing in HCM. You are going to need this in financial, so that everybody will be in line.
Absolutely, it's a very good thing, Tunde. So what I'm going to do, probably, what are structures I defined, keeping the HCM in mind. What I'm going to do in this week, I'm going to connect with our other finance instructors in the Rainbow. We both will be working together, and we'll come up with other examples too, where if you bring the finance or HCM into that, how we can define the structures, and we will add it to my library of the structures, and we can demonstrate it when we talk about it. So it's a very good idea to do that.
Okay.
Oh, hi, Alex. It's Shazad again.
Yes, Shazad.
Are we going to get access to a test environment as well to test and play?
Absolutely. Yes, you will get it.
Okay. Will we have those details next week as well when we start the session?
Yeah, absolutely. So Ravi is the contact. So I think you have the email of Ravi already. So he's going to provide all the infrastructure related things. So
okay. Now, also, Lakshmi, this I believe, I know this is October was last month. They're using 18C. Towards December it will be 18D. So what platform are you going to?
We are going to use 18. Okay, let me confirm that right away.
Because I'm not sure if 18D has come out yet.
Right. Basically, most of companies are in quarterly patches. So 18D will come in January.
18D or 18B?
18D. 18D will come in January 2019. So
I thought No, I thought it's gone.
No, we are in, actually it is 05. Basically, if you see how we study the releases in the cloud is, we are release 13, that is common. 1805 is 2018.
Yes.
And 05 is May. So what
Okay.
Oracle will do, they release patches every quarter. Quarter 1A, quarter 2B, quarter 3C, quarter 4D. So 05 falls into the May, I guess. May means quarter 2. Quarter 2 means B. So we are in release 18B basically. So whatever we are working on, it is 18B. Probably it's a demo instance, so Oracle will maintain it. So probably they might upgrade to release 18C anytime. 18C because we are in the fourth quarter already. So third quarter is past. As third quarter is past, third quarter patches should come anytime by now. So they might install anytime. But 18D, that is fourth quarter patch, will come on January 2019. So
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so if anyone else have any questions, let me know. Else, we will let you know the schedules, and we will.
Sorry, but my last question from me, because I mean, I'm just a little bit concerned about the timing. You're going to do HCM, which you've shown us. You're going to do Taleo. You're going to do compensation. Well, I would say compensation, and you're going to do payroll. Now, do you want to be doing this every Sunday? I mean, from next week, every Sunday for 2 hours. Is that a plan?
Saturday 2 hours and Sunday 2 hours. That's my plan.
Oh, Saturday and Sunday.
Yes.
Okay, Saturday and Sunday. So 2 hours each.
Yes.
Okay.
Can we not have this on one day with extended hours?
One day with extended hours? Maybe it would be too much of information if I do it one day.
Yeah. I can say one thing for a fact, that if you have one day, it's a lot of intake. Presently, I'm doing the financials with procurement now, and we do it over 2 days, Saturday and Sunday, 6 a.m. to 8 a.m., because we're in the UK. And even then, Ravi is very cautious, is very gracious to even go over an hour and a half, and it's still a lot to be done. So you can't do it in one day, I can assure you. It's a lot of information in one day.
That's true. That's why better to have 2 days. That's my plan. But Ravi will confirm.
It's 2 days. So can we start? Is the start time 4 o'clock then? Can we have a little bit of leeway on the start time on Saturday if it's or Sunday? Let's say 4:30.
Because we have some people most of the people joining from India too, so we have to.
Exactly. It's going to be midnight there.
No, it's going to be, midnight. I mean, to be honest, Alashmi, we've done something similar last year where in UK, they did it very early in the morning. I mean, you're talking about maybe 7 to 9 or maybe, I don't know, 6:30 to 8:30, very early in the morning. And which will be suitable for people in India. I'm not sure about US. I don't know if anybody's in US. I mean, for us, very early in the morning, get it out of the way. You have the whole day for yourself. So I'm just putting across the option, because if you have to do something 4 o'clock in the evening, to be honest, there isn't much you can do before 4 o'clock, because your mind, anywhere you go, your mind will be in 4 o'clock. Once you do it after 6 o'clock, there's nothing tangible you're going to do anymore. So before, like I said, we've done something similar, very early in the morning, 7 to 9, done and dusted. Everybody do something else you can do for the day. So I'm not sure if we're open to that option as well. I'm talking about UK time, because in India, it will be suitable for people in India, because it will be, they're kind of maybe, I don't know, maybe 1 o'clock, which will still be okay for them. So if there's nobody in US, because I know in US, it could be very late for them in the middle of the night. So I'm just looking at that option, because 4 o'clock for UK, for me, I know we did that Taleo back in January. 4 o'clock is okay, but it's ridiculous. It's gonna put your mind into a lot of things. You're gonna be, oh my God, I've got to quickly do something during the day.
I think one thing we have to remind ourselves is that the Laksh is in the US as well.
Yeah.
That's another thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So if we're saying 7 o'clock, Lash probably have to take some heavy espressos at 1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, he has to do so. Use some drink some coffee.
I don't know what I will say. What I'll say. you all there in the WhatsApp group, I guess, with Ravi. So we'll come up with some common plan which will work out for everyone, and then we'll touch base with you.
I mean, if it's Saturday and Sunday, 4:30, I'm okay with that, because that gives you time as well, Lax, in the morning, and colleagues and friends in India, they should be okay as well.
Right. Sure. Yeah. Actually,
I'll wait for what you come back with.
Yeah. That's why I was waiting for Ravi actually. So he know the other people timings too. I don't know that one. So let me talk to Ravi and come back with some common plan. Okay.
Okay then.
Okay,
that's excellent. Thanks, Lax.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Lakshmi, this is Pradeep here.
Yes, Pradeep.
Lakshmi, I want to know what are the components that will be covered in Taleo?
What are the companies?
That will be covered in Taleo.
What do you mean by the companies?
Sorry, components. What are the topics that will be?
Yeah. Okay. So components actually, it's a very long list. So basically, we are covering only the recruiting and onboarding, basically. So we are going to cover recruiting and onboarding module. As we are covering Taleo Enterprise Edition, not the Taleo Business Edition. In the Taleo Enterprise Edition, we are going to cover both functional and technical, both basically. So
TCC as well.
Yes, absolutely. We are going to cover Taleo Client Connect too. We are going to use TCC. We are going to talk about TCC in detail. So we're going to see about TCC and how we use TCC to load data into the Taleo, and how we can pull data out of the Taleo. And yeah, if people are more interested, then we can also talk about how we can schedule the TCC scripts and run it through the Windows, and how we can use the data dictionaries to talk to the Taleo. We do all that stuff basically. So yeah, TCS we will be covering it, and also we'll talk about what is the out-of-the-box integration with Taleo and Fusion applications, and how we can use that, and when to use the out-of-the-box integrations and when to use the custom integration. We'll talk about that one too. So,
okay, Lakshmi.
Yeah.
Yes. Thanks.
We'll provide this course content, so take a look at it. So let me know if you have any questions.
Hello, Lakshmi.
Yes.
Lakshmi, this is Nasir here.
Yes, Nasir.
In this Oracle Taleo course, is there any programming included in this part?
Taleo, not really. Taleo is actually even in the Fusion we have something with the something like fast formulas, or something with SQL, or something with the HCM extract. Something is there, but Taleo it's not necessarily actually. Taleo is more into the configuration. So except TCC, Taleo Client Connect. Apart from that, I would say 90-95% is in the configuration. It's not necessary that you should know the. You should have some hands-on on any of your technology components. So even the reporting also, it's like it's a OTBI kind of reporting, and you won't use much SQL too. Yes, we have the privilege to do SQL, but we won't use much in the Taleo side.
Okay, when we are learning this course, so it is combined, included this Taleo, core, HR, functional, technical, and all this we have to learn. Compensation, salaries.
I mean, it is covered inside that. If you need to learn all these things, not necessarily, but we are going to cover everything. So if you want to learn, the must is core HR, this whatever slide here, core HR techno-functional. If you learn this, basically you are ready to work on the implementation projects. Basically, you are almost ready to work on the implementation project, or ready to support any applications basically. But these are payroll, compensation, Taleo are additional basically, which you could which will be help you to make your profile much stronger, and also help you to learn the other components in a much better way, and easy for your implementation. So there are additional things, and all are actually very much demand in the current market. All this core HR, payroll, compensation, and Taleo, everything is very much used in all the companies.
Okay, so can I learn only this Taleo also? Is this beneficial to me if I learn only Taleo? If I want to go to into configuration part only, not into the technical side?
Actually, there is little drawback here. So Taleo, yes, you can learn. People are really using Taleo much. So if you really see the future roadmap of Oracle, Oracle actually came up with Oracle Recruiting Cloud, which is the exact same product like the Taleo Enterprise Edition. So if you ask me what is after 5 years or what is after 3 years, then after 3 years, I cannot guarantee that Taleo will have the same name and fame what we have it today. But after 3 years, I am guaranteed that core HR, payroll, compensation is going to demand rule the market. Because Taleo is very powerful tool and very much has everything inside it. The only problem is Oracle is not going to use Taleo in the future. They're going to replace Taleo with the Oracle Recruiting Cloud. But people who are using Taleo they can still keep using it. But Oracle may not invest much on the Taleo side. That's the only thing what I'm foreseeing basically. So you have to plan according to that. So just if you want to know more about that, just search about Oracle Recruiting Cloud versus Taleo. You should know you should get some documentation.
Okay.
Yeah. I would say better to concentrate. If you wanted to really step into this cloud, I would say you have better to get into the core HR. I would say that. It's not much technical, but
Okay, because why I am asking is because before this also I was into non-voice finance background. I'm not having the IT experience, so now I want to move into the IT. For this, I have done the Salesforce course as well. I'm familiar with the admin part of the Salesforce.
Okay.
But what is happening is, the development is coming into the Salesforce. So it is very difficult to me to go into the programming side. I'm not having any basic knowledge of that one. And for the business analyst also, they are, asking some VBA, SOQL, SOSL, JavaScript, and all those kind of stuffs. So I'm eliminating that business analyst and Salesforce again. I'm, looking for any other functional courses that going ahead in the future, I want to be a functional rather than going into a technical. So that's why I'm thinking this Oracle Financials or Oracle HR will be, suitable for me because as I'm finance and HR background. So when I worked 1 year into IT, I was into HRMS project only. This absence management, workforce management, and recruiting, onboarding, all those. I'm familiar with these kind of things.
Okay, then if you're already familiar with those kind of stuff, then this functional is whatever, as I said, the SaaS models, especially SaaS models, all about the functionality. Yes, we need the technical components up to some extent, but 80% it is dominating with the functionality. Basically, it's like that's what I'm seeing. But if you want to go into the technology, things are there. There are very much in-depth things are there, but market currently running on 80% of functionality. But I'm not selling it, but I'm just saying that if you have the knowledge already, then you can browse through the YouTube and get some there are many videos outside in that YouTube where you can go and see like what components are there and how things are there. If you can really understand them, then you can keep continuing here, or you can decide on that. Or maybe there are several people here who are already doing the HR and other things. If anyone want to give any advice, I think I'm open. So yeah, I don't see any problem due to continue here. So
you'll be doing other trainings as well, Lakshmi, apart from this Oracle, this HR, financials, or any other modules?
I take Oracle technical trainings basically. So which talks more into the integrations and more into the reporting and more into the ADF framework and application development actually. Okay. So yeah, that's what I do.
Sorry, Lakshmi, I know earlier you mentioned about the ORC. Is it functional in Oracle at the moment, or is still?
It's there.
It's still not.
It's there already. Oracle already.
It's there already.
It's there already, but Oracle claiming that it's not completely matured. They don't have onboarding yet. They have only recruiting. but recruiting is
Okay.
also not completely functional yet. So
Okay.
yeah, it's not yet,
So-
not yet.
So some clients, have they started using it now?
Actually, I've been to the Oracle Open World 2 weeks back, actually. So I was talking to Oracle, and Oracle clarified that it will take another 3 years at least, not 3 years, another 24 months at least to get the Oracle Recruiting Cloud matured enough. So it takes some time. And yes, there are a couple of clients using them, but the review was not good.
Okay.
Yeah, so it takes some time. So we have to wait for it. But if you're planning to implement anything, this is a recruiting basically. If you're planning to implement, if you want suggest any client to start with recruiting and onboarding, I think as of today, yes, Taleo is the one to recommend. Okay. Because one good example, if you've been to I know some of you have been in Taleo already. Example, communications. Let us say if an employee status moved from new to hiring manager review, then typically a communication should go to the candidate, or not candidate, should go to the manager or should go to the recruiter saying that, hey, this moved from this step to this state, like that. Then those automatic notifications were not yet there in the recruiting cloud yet. One simple feature I'm saying. So when that simple feature is not yet implemented, think about the bigger features, CSWs, or think about the approval flow. So many things were not yet implemented, so definitely it's not recommended. Basically, for the talent management, they have given talent management recruiting. See, onboarding is not there yet because they haven't implemented it yet. But if you go to the talent management for mid-size,
okay,
here you can see that it's Taleo basically, where you can have the recruiting and onboarding.
Onboarding, okay.
It is Oracle Recruiting Cloud, then that is Taleo. So in the recruiting cloud, we don't have the onboarding yet.
Onboarding, okay.
Yeah, wait for it. Don't recommend any customers to go to Oracle Recruiting Cloud. Okay. Okay, so we will communicate you on the timings and everything. So if you have any other questions, yeah, you can touch base with me or with Ravi, and we will help you to sort out the questions.